We're going to start off with Warren Hammerstrom. Thank you for 14 Canadian dollars. I've decided to switch my fleet, my control link. Do I go with Ghost or ExpressLRS? I trust Ghost, but ExpressLRS is offering exciting hardware. What would you choose? ExpressLRS is awfully compelling. Here's the thing. Ghost is the best combination of performance and ease of use. Now, here's what I mean by that. Let's split this hair very finely. Is there any other way to split a hair? Crossfire. Amazing range. It's 900 megahertz. You can get 1 watt or even 2 watts of output power. Crossfire, amazing range. Relatively easy to use, although lately they've been having some BS with their firmware where stuff isn't binding and you have to flash in the... But overall, it's usually easy to use and easy to set up. Bind, update firmware, piece of cake. But Crossfire only goes up to 150 hertz. And most of the time, if you actually want a good amount of range, Crossfire, you're going to be running at 50 hertz. At 150 hertz, the LQ drops off very quickly. It is flyable, but if you really care about latency, you want something better. Tracer, 250 hertz, but you have to crank it up to 1 watt to get decent range, but easy to use. Tracer, not a big fan. I think Tracer is, well, anyway, I've been there. I've talked about that. I don't like the fact that to get decent range out of Tracer, your only choice is to crank it to 1 watt. That bugs me. And even then, the range isn't what it could be if you had other options. Okay, ImmersionRC Ghost. Almost perfect. If ImmersionRC Ghost had a 1 watt VTX, or a 1 watt TX option, it would be the hands-down winner, in my opinion. ExpressLRS people are crying and gnashing and tearing their hair right now because they said that. Take it easy. Hang on. We'll get there. ImmersionRC Ghost. You can run at, what is it, 50 hertz? 60 hertz? I don't remember the exact number. You can run it at higher latency and get just gobs and gobs of range. You can run it at up to 500 hertz for really low latency at shorter range. They have a kind of a duplicate mode, which basically sends every packet twice. It's their stable race mode, which makes sure that there are no drop packets for racers who care about an absolutely jitter-free link. You have all these options, right? Super easy to use, easy to update the firmware. Over-the-air updates, none of this compiling firmware bullshit like with ExpressLRS. Sorry, ExpressLRS guys, it's bullshit. I understand you are used to, you're used to it. And you're like, no, this tastes great. I don't mind this. The Crossfire guys and the Ghost guys are over there eating steak with their over-the-air updates. Like, okay, guys, good. You enjoy compiling firmware. Maybe carried that analogy a little too far. But one of the problems with Ghost is that it only goes up to 350 milliwatts, which means that, and right here, ImmersionRC goes, what are you talking about? You could go 60 kilometers! Yeah, at the lowest update rate. But you take ExpressLRS, which can go up to 1 watt, and still run 500 hertz, and it will get you... Here's the thing with ExpressLRS. It has the best performance. It has the most range and the fastest update rates because it's optimized for efficiency. And it's the least expensive. And the only reason ExpressLRS is not just the hands-down winner is, number one, all this bullshit with having to compile firmware. And they've made it as easy as possible, but it's still kind of bullshit. There's no over-the-air firmware update, so every time you want to update, it's a little bit of... And they've done a lot to make that easier. Like they've got the ability to update over Wi-Fi. It's good, but it's not as easy as just boop, boop. I push a button on my module and it updates. Okay. You have to admit, ExpressLRS has any downsides, guys. Sorry. Compiling firmware, no over-the-air updates, updating firmware, kind of a pain in the ass. And the quality of the hardware is mixed. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Just like with Betaflight flight controllers, it's all open source, so it's mixed. Sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get a bad one. And when, like, Happy Model are pretty reliable. Beta FPV are, a little questionable. And then some new company comes out with a ExpressLRS receiver, and you're like, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. But there are so many upsides to ExpressLRS. The ability to have SPI-based receivers built into this thing. This thing can go as far as any 5-inch quad. Well, maybe not quite as far because it isn't a full receiver, but this will go as far as your video. And how often can you say that about a tiny whoop? So between Ghost and ExpressLRS, it's tough to call. If Ghost had a 1-watt module, maybe. I think it would be like the hands down, but ExpressLRS is very compelling if you don't mind the BS with the compiling firmware and stuff. Fog Yamato says they're working on unified targets in ExpressLRS v3, which could allow for over-the-air firmware updates. That's the thing. Here's the thing about ExpressLRS. ExpressLRS is going to win. ExpressLRS is going to win this competition of what's the best control link. Sorry, TBS. Sorry, ImmersionRC. You guys have a problem. And here's the problem. The ExpressLRS devs are freaking animals. They're beasts. Every single thing I have ever complained about ExpressLRS, they have fixed. Well, not everything, because I'm still complaining. Whatever it is that makes ExpressLRS not be the best today, they're already fixing it. And that is actually the most appealing thing about it, is how they can't keep it up. They have to run out of Mountain Dew eventually. Right? But for now, the pace of development on ExpressLRS is extreme. And it's not just like developers coming up with developer features for dumb developer reasons that no one cares about. It's real quality of life improvements that make it a better system. And if they keep it up, they're gonna win. They're gonna win. And just be the best. And it's interesting because if you look at the Betaflight developers, and you have to be very careful when saying anything even remotely critical of people who work their asses off for free, which is what open source developers do. But the Betaflight developers sometimes seem to have an attitude of, we don't really care what you want. We have a vision for this project. We're going to do what we think is best. And if you don't like it, tough cookies. And they have every right to have that attitude because they work for free. They do whatever they want. That's the trade-off of getting their work for free, is they don't have to do what you want. But it really feels like the ExpressLRS devs have an attitude of, oh yeah, you're right, that is a problem. Let's fix it. They really, maybe that's just me. Maybe they just listen to me. I don't know. But like, I've complained about several things and then boom, they just fixed it and made it happen. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's how you make a better product. Mavlink support is a use case for Crossfire. Does Crossfire Mavlink support really work? I've heard people complain that it doesn't actually really work, that it's only paper support. Anyway.